So after talking about writing about the photo, now it's the time to discuss, speak about the photo. To be honest, Malak, approximately they are the same. But instead of writing, I have to speak. And to be not the same words that you have to write, because as I told you in the writing, write about the photo, I have to write at least one sentence, and I have to write more than one sentence. But it isn't like speaking, because I have to speak, if you notice here, for a complete 1 minute. So it is the same, because a picture is going to be shown on the screen, but now you have to speak about the photo. We don't have to write. Okay, now let's talk about the directions. Speak about the photo asks you to speak for at least 30 seconds about the image below. In this task, we will talk about the image that appears on the screen, the directions, and image will appear for 20 seconds just to show you and to tell you what you have to do, to show you the picture. And you have to understand the picture. You have to take a look at the picture before recording yourself. Okay? As I told you, you need to speak for a minimum 30 seconds before moving on to the next one. Now, what are the tips that I don't have to forget if I want to speak about a certain photo? Now, try to describe the image as if explaining to someone who can't see it. So this is the most important thing. You have to explain to someone, absolutely, because you have to describe. As you notice that in writing, you have to describe. You have to give the chance to the listener to imagine the scene, to imagine the picture, to picture it. Okay?
Okay.
Absolutely, we have to speak naturally. What does that mean? Don't be really fast at speaking and don't be too much slow. This is extremely important. Now, if you want to ask me about the best pace, you have to adapt just to speak in the natural way. Listen to me, listen to the way that I'm speaking, and you have to do the same. You have to pronounce every word clearly, absolutely, and you have to avoid language. I mean, don't say, I gotta go, I gonna be with you, I wanna be with you. These words, language, I mean, it's something really bad. Don't use them. And even the ing, you have to pronounce it clearly. I mean, I heard some students, let me write this word, which is swimming. I heard some students um, say swimming without pronouncing the G. Please, this is wrong, because this is formal exam. You have to be formal speaker. You have to pronounce every single word clearly, especially the S plural, especially the S, ES, IES about the verb, and even the endings of the words should be fully spoken. Okay?
Okay.
Don't panic, because in the beginning, I mean, all the time, this is what my students told me. When I want to start a speak, this is something bad, because I feel stressed. I feel, let me say that I'm shy, I can't speak. This is something wrong. Don't be panic, because if you want to be afraid or panic, you will not be able to speak correctly, even if you are professional. So this is extremely important. Even if you notice in interviews, you don't have to hesitate, because if you want to hesitate and be afraid, you will not be able to speak. Now try to watch some videos on YouTube, even about the students, sorry, whose English is the first language, because they were panicked, they were afraid, they couldn't speak. So this is extremely important. Okay? So,
Okay.
and if you commit any mistake in speaking, any mistakes, correct yourself immediately, please. This is, even if the mistake is made in the beginning of your conversation, for example, and now you realize your mistake at the end, correct it immediately, because if you don't correct it, absolutely, the listener is going to consider it as a mistake. So as I told you, you have 20 seconds to take a look at the photo before you start talking. Take this time to observe to take a deep look at the photo and mentally, I mean in your brain, try to plan your response before you record or before recording yourself. So you will also be able to look at the image as you speak. Absolutely. As you speak, the picture is going to be shown next to you just to take a look and to complete speaking, just to gather the information. So you can keep looking at the picture while speaking. You have only one opportunity to record yourself. So please, there is no a second chance if you want to try again. So the moment you press record, please be careful because again, there isn't going to be any second chance. Okay?
Okay.
Now let's talk about the strategies. What should I do to speak in a good way in the Duolingo exam? So let me open the file.
So we have just 1 minute, right?
Okay, take your
For
time.
the
Take your time.
no, we have 1 minute for
Yes. You
so,
have Malak, you have 20 seconds before recording yourself, then you have 1 minute to speak.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
It's speaking. Wait, this is speaking. Yes, speak about the photo. Read and speak. Aha, this is a speak about the topic. No, it isn't. This is it. Okay.
So we start like
Right.
write about
Oh.
the photo by this image shows
Exactly. It's the same of writing about the
the
photo,
same
Malak.
process.
It is the
Okay.
same. Absolutely. You have to start with introductory elements or statements. Okay?
Okay. Mm.
Now, how this task is scored? Absolutely, you have to consider the content. The content means how well you describe the image, going into details, talking about every single details, the surrounding, everything which is existed in the image. Now, the fluency, which means how smoothly you describe the image. The meaning of smoothly, how to move from a certain idea to another idea. I'm going to show you absolutely and explain everything. The pronunciation is extremely important. You have to practice saying the vocab correctly because sometimes I miss saying certain vocab. It's something wrong because a pronunciation is extremely important. So how clearly you describe the image. So please,
Okay.
you have to keep these three things into your consideration. Now, what do I mean by content? How well you describe the image. Don't just label the image. You have to speak about every single detail. Vocabulary range and to be accurate in speaking is really important. Absolutely. Grammar, you have to take the grammar into consideration. If you want to ask me about the tense that I have to use in describing the image, it is the same of writing. You have to consider two tenses, the simple present tense, or you can adapt the present continuous. Don't mix them because this is something bad. Okay,
Okay.
so let's imagine that now we have this image in the final exam, in the Duolingo exam. Now you have to describe this image. What is the best way to describe it? Listen to me carefully because this is really important. In every image, Malak, we have surrounding. I mean, what can we see behind the surrounding? This is it. And we have the people in the image. People, animal. So keep in mind, please, that you have to start talking about the surrounding, then you have to talk about people because all the time people in the image, people and animals are the details. We cannot go into details in the beginning. I have to explain the surrounding. I have to express the surrounding, what I can see behind, on the right, on the left, and then finally I have to talk about people and action verbs. This is extremely important. Let me show you this example. I can say there is a building. So notice that here you can see a building. I cannot specify the name of this
Yes.
building. Maybe it's a church, maybe a mosque, a school, university. I'm not sure. Because I'm not sure, notice that I said a building. So
Okay.
I can say there is a park. Keep in mind that you have to be precise in speaking. This is what I meant by accuracy. Accuracy is to be accurate. Let me give you an example. If you want to say there is a garden, this is wrong. Why? Because there is a big difference between garden and park. Garden is attached to a certain house and it is smaller than the park. Absolutely, the park is
Property.
public, exactly. We can notice that people can visit the park, but can people visit your garden, which is attached to your
No.
house? They can't. So please, you have to be precise. And this is another example. You have to say there is a bench. If you want to say there is a chair, this is wrong. This is not a chair. The chair is approximately for one person, but if you can check a wooden chair, that chair
Mm.
could maybe two people and more sit on this chair. This is not a chair, this is bench. So
Mm.
this is what I meant by a precise information on or accuracy. It's the same of saying a chair, Malak, and armchair. Absolutely, they are not the same. There is a big difference between a chair and armchair. Do you know the
Okay.
meaning of armchair?
Uh, Chair with arm.
Exactly. So the chair is a chair, I need chair, but without arms.
Mm.
Okay? So this is
Okay.
the meaning of accuracy. Here it's the same. I have to say there is a path. It's not a road or a street. This is not a street. So don't say there is a street. This is something wrong. So please, you have to be precise in description. This is why in the beginning, if you notice, the tips that we read said that I have to imagine that I'm explaining this picture to someone cannot see. So please don't mislead, or let me say, don't create misunderstanding, because all the time I have to imagine that there is someone cannot see. I'm describing the image into details. So this is why I have to be careful. So after that, notice till now, I didn't talk about people. I didn't say why this girl is angry and why this man is sad, for example. So this is extremely important. All the time, I have to start talking about the surrounding. What can I see? Trees, garden, and please, as I told you, as we noticed in writing section, because I have to make my description vivid. So don't say, for example, I can see leaves, only leaves. To be honest, this is not green leaves. These are yellow leaves. So please, you have to make your description vivid, as I told you, just to make the listener exactly imagine the picture. So now let's talk about the fluency. Fluency is how smoothly you describe the image. Absolutely, you have to adopt the correct speed. Don't be really fast and don't be really slow. Is smoothness. Smoothness is the correct transmission between the sentences. Okay?
Mm.
Let me give an example. Don't talk about the surrounding. Then talk about people. After that, go back to talk about surrounding, please. So you have to be
Okay.
smooth in describing the image. Phrasing absolutely is really important because you have to use a variety of sentences. Avoid using the simple sentence all the time. And absolutely, I have to avoid being hesitated. Don't hesitate. This is extremely important. The meaning of hesitation is maybe repeating the same letter more than once. For example, now let's imagine that I want to describe an image. Maybe I want to say, I can see a certain image that please avoid
Mm.
hesitation. This is really bad. You have 20 seconds. Please try to think about the vocab, think about the tense, think about the vocab, arrange yourself before you speak. This is extremely important.
Okay.
Avoid repeating the same words, the same letters, the same sentences, because you will be silly. Pronunciation is extremely important. Absolutely, Malak, there is no difference between adopting the British accent and the American accent. Choose and adopt whatever accent you want, but please don't mix them. This is
Mm.
when you mix them, now you are wrong. So avoid one accent and adopt it. If you don't know how to use a certain accent, I mean the Australian one, or maybe Canadian, or American, or maybe British, use your local, or let me say, yes, your local accent, because we are Arab people. We don't say R, we say R. Am I right? If
Yeah.
you want to say
Okay.
R, this is not wrong. No one can deny that it's something. It's not wrong. Absolutely, it's better to be precise in speaking, just to say R, or maybe avoid pronouncing this letter, just like in the British accent. But if you cannot adopt any accent, use the normal one. Use the one that you used to speak, to manage, okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. If you want to be native in speaking, you will get high score. Can a native English speaker understand you easily? Now ask yourself this question. Is the listener, or can the listener understand me? Or maybe I'm really fast in talking. I don't say or pronounce the certain word or phrase correctly or something like that. Don't forget that phonemes is really important. The connected speech, the using of conjunctions and the correct using of them. Intonation is really important. The meaning of intonation, your intonation is up, your tone is up and down.
And
If you
down,
want to,
yeah.
yeah, if you remember that while discussing the punctuation marks, please. This is extremely important. Now, what is the method that I have to adopt? Absolutely, planning is really important. So you have to plan before you speak. Number one is about general summary, describe the location. Three, you have to add certain details. Finally, speculate. What does that mean? Okay. Now, general summary means what's the most important thing in the image? This is the question that you have to ask. Try to do this in one or two sentences. So this picture shows, this is the introductory element as it is in the writing about the photo. Use a little bit of details. A present simple, as I told you, or present continuous tenses you have to adopt. Don't use the simple past or don't use the simple future. For example, this is something wrong and bad. So if you want to say this image shows a man and a woman, this is really poor. This image shows a man and a woman sitting on a bench, not bad, because you added a certain detail. If you want to say this image shows a man and a woman sitting on a bench in a park, you added more details. Now you are better. But if you want to say this image shows a man and a woman sitting next to each other on a bench in the park and they look upset about something, now you're good. So the more details you add, the better your description is. Describe the
Okay.
location. Absolutely, this is about the surrounding. So what is the image and where is the location or it's positioned? Three things or three ways you have to do. Left, what is on the left, on the right, on the top, on the bottom, underneath, beneath, far to near, for example, near to far. I have to use correct adverbs of a place. We have two kinds of adverbs of a place and adverbs of time. I have to use them correctly. I have to use correct adjectives to describe the objects. And please, you have to be vivid by adding colors. As I showed you, this is exactly the same as we mentioned in writing about the photo. So please, you have to add every single detail. Okay, now let me show you the best description about this image. So notice that how I want to start with talking about the surrounding. I don't have to go into details in the beginning. There is, or this picture shows a tall, white building. So notice that I didn't only say a tall building. I mentioned the color because I want to be vivid in describing the image. That looks like a church. This is what I guess, which
Okay.
is in the background in the top right hand corner. I want to mention the exact location. There are some people waiting outside. If you notice that here, we can see some people, and these people are waiting for someone or something. In front of that building, There is a narrow path. This is it. This path is really narrow. So notice till now I'm describing the location, the background. I didn't go into details yet, which leads to another building on the left. This is it. That building is under construction. Some builders maybe are trying to build this building and they haven't finished yet. There is also a small, this is a good adjective, park in front of the white building that has several trees and lots of crisp autumn leaves. I mean by yellow leaves. This is the way that I have to be vivid. Covering the grass. The two young, so notice now I started talking about people. The two young adults are sitting on a brown bench. So notice that I didn't only say a bench, but I have to name the color. I have to be vivid. A brown bench in the foreground of this image. So they look that they are really upset. They are angry with each other or something like that. So this is exactly what I have to do. Now, adding details is really important. I have to add detail to the important parts of the image. Don't add detail to everything. You have to. Please, you have to keep speaking until the 1 minute is finished. Ask yourself all the time, what's the most important part in the image? The vocabulary, action verbs, adjectives. Be careful about using adjectives. Correct adverbs, especially adverbs of place. Absolutely, you have to adopt the present simple tense, or as I told you, the present continuous tense. Don't use the simple past, and don't so use the simple future. Okay?
Okay.
Now, notice that now I haven't finished yet. I'm still talking about people who I can see in the picture. So the two people, both of them, look sad. Now, if you want to say only sad, this is something poor. Please, you have to be more accurate by saying the two people look irritated. And they were not talking to each other. This is really better. But if you want to say that two people, both of them, I mean, look irritated and they are not talking to each other, the man is holding his forehead with both hands, with his both hands. Notice this one, or the two hands. Okay, where am I? Okay, both hands and is staring down at the pavement. This is the meaning of pavement or maybe path. While this is the variety of sentences, please. I don't want to keep using the simple sentences all the time because in this way I will be really weak and poor. While the woman, the girl, has her head in her right, absolutely in her right hand and looking in the opposite side or direction to the man. Notice that this is really better.
Okay.
Okay, Malak?
I think it's too much details or not.
No, in 1 minute? Holy God, please. Do you know something, Malak? Let me say that 50% of the students told me in the past that, please, teacher, the 1 minute is finished before, or let me say that we finished talking before the 1 minute is finished. This is really bad. Keep talking. You don't have to stop talking. The listener, Malak, needs you to speak. Okay. Maybe you want to tell yourself, come on, can I say all these details in 1 minute? Yes, this is speaking. This is not writing.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show you when we practice how the 1 minute is really too much. And I'm afraid just to stop talking before the 1 minute is really finished. Absolutely, guessing is not wrong. If you are not sure about something, you can guess. So don't speculate about everything. You can use your guess. Why is something happening now? I have to use modal verbs as much as you can. Probably, I suppose, maybe, etc. Why did something happen in the past? The past modal verbs, if you want to mention the past, might have, the past of might is may, must have. and you have to use the past of must. The past of must is had to, or maybe you can keep it as must. Must could be used in the present and in the past. Okay. Now let me read this description. I have to say, for example, they could be arguing about something very important, could in the past, but now they are upset. She probably wants to end the relationship. Why? Because maybe something happened, or maybe the man did something wrong. They must have discussed the problem before, or something like that. So I want to use the past tenses, because now I'm talking about something happened before the image. They might have just broken up with each other because of this and this. Now I'm talking
Okay.
about the things that happened before the picture. Okay,
Mm.
so this is the best answer, or the best sample about the image that we have just taken, we have just seen. I mean, I know that you want to ask me, can I say all of these, teacher, in 1 minute? Yes. Yes. This is speaking.
Mm.
1 minute is really enough. Okay?
Mm. Okay.
So now your turn. Now I think it's the time to practice. But before that, let me ask you if you have any questions.
No. All clear.
Okay, so let's disconnect the meeting and meet again, because we need to practice speak about the photo.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
Bye bye, bye bye.